Bob, I know you, of course, you cover all different Ohio sports on your show. You talk about the Browns a little bit. Do you have any idea what is going to happen with Baker Mayfield?
Interesting there, Bob.
Well, number one, I hope that he can recover because his statue, the likeness of it is about as good as Cristiano Ronaldo's. I mean, I'm going to do a side-by-side with those. Like that thing was brutal. I think
he had the sleeve on his head. You couldn't see the sleeve. The sleeve. Yeah, it was the sleeve. Yeah.
I don't know if it's still helping that much, man. That's a rough.
He's got a statue, though.
Yeah,
statue.
That's cool.
That is a terrible
He does.
statue.
The thing is, that's the problem. You're going to be dead and gone, Pat, and that statue's still going to be there, and that's how people are going to remember you. So when we get a statue of Pat McAfee, we're going to have to make sure that thing's looking a lot better. You want it to be an enhancement of yourself.
Well, that ain't going to happen. If I get a statue, people are going to tear that thing down pretty quick and kick that thing right in the face. But that whole Baker situation has been fascinating. Aside from the statue looking nothing like him, and that not being his fault, it being the artist's fault, but there's been a run here of interesting situations for Baker Mayfield. Last season, he's incredibly injured, right? But he plays through it, plays every game. They stink. They're supposed to make the Super Bowl. They got dads of players on the team saying, get my son the fuck out of here. Then that guy goes and wins the Super Bowl somewhere else. I mean, it has been bad. Then the offseason comes. There's a little bit of a disagreement. He wants traded. They say we don't care. $230 million to another guy to play your position. We don't care if you want to be traded. This is something that I'm not sure anybody could be built to handle, but Baker Mayfield, the way he operates, certainly not built to handle this, I don't think. With the chip on his shoulder, how he is himself, he's naturally going to be emotional. It's just a very interesting situation that involves $18.5 million, and nobody has the answer right now, I think, not even the Browns or Baker Mayfield. Bob, do you feel the same way?
So it's amazing, Pat, that you picked up the chip on his shoulder. And that, historically, for athletes, guys are sitting here, when you feel like you've been disrespected, it's a great thing. But here's the problem with Baker. He was the walk-on, and then, he earned a scholarship, transferred around. He was never supposed to be the guy. But then he wins a Heisman Trophy, and then ultimately he becomes the number one overall pick. And at that point, Pat, you're no longer the underdog. You can't have the Tom Brady, the Tony Romo chip on your shoulder. Heck, you can't even have a chip like Aaron Rodgers, who fell almost to the end of the first round. You went number one overall, and you were the Heisman Trophy winner. So I think probably his biggest problem is he never adjusted his mentality. Like, he still had everybody's out to get him deal. Well, dude, you're the man. They've coronated you the man. You just got to act like a leader. And so he's maneuvering through this right now. The reality is that $19 million, I don't think anybody wants to pay for it. And so if the Browns trade him, people that I've talked to in the NFL who need quarterbacks, they're looking like, hey, if we're going to trade for Baker, they're going to have to eat at least 10 or more million of that, because we can't justify playing a guy right now who's on a one-year deal when we could go maybe draft another quarterback who we think maybe isn't quite as good, but it won't have the high price tag that we're going to have to pay this year. So, Pat, I think this trade won't probably happen until maybe after day one or day two, or heck, it might have to wait until the summer until they realize maybe someone they drafted doesn't work out.
They only got $1 million invested in Deshaun Watson next year.
Yep.
So maybe they're taking into account that they're probably going to have to pay Baker's salary regardless if he's on the team or he's not on the team. But barring a suspension, which could come, I guess, at any moment for Deshaun Watson, they got Jacoby Brissett there as well that they brought in. You'd assume that they're comfortable with him maybe playing instead of Deshaun. Fascinating to see how it all plays out. And I don't envy Baker Mayfield's position at all, but that's a fascinating take by you. Like, hey, you got to start acting like you're a guy now because you are a guy. So when he publicly came out and was disgruntled and happy and there was drama and blah, 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 you just hope that doesn't happen with the face of your franchise. Maybe Baker's next stop will be his best stop.